Hello, my name is Justin Hickman. I'm with Vertispan. Today is Friday, June 23rd, 2023, and I'm continuing on the Let's Make an App series of streams. This one's probably going to be a little bit shorter. I have been having some difficulty actually streaming now that summer is here and kids are out of school and vacation planning and stuff like that. So hopefully I can get at least an hour or so in while the house is quiet. But let me go ahead and jump in. Today we're going to look at more of the URL handling, because I was thinking in terms of in the application we might have different URL handling on a per plugin basis. So it might be beneficial to have like a plugin or a history manager or anything like that that's scoped to the current plugin. That way we can clear out the entire URL or do whatever we want, but making sure that it's within a scoped area. So for example, we might have on the CRM, the base URL as CRM, but then we might have customer edit or something like that. And it would be able to handle customer edit without having to clear out the entire path. Trying to think of different approaches for that. So I've been playing around with the Dagger modules and components, trying to figure out some mechanisms for having that happen. So I created a common, this is off screen. So a common plugin module. And this is basically just pulled in or included in the other modules. So if I look at CRM module, I can see that I've added includes common plugin module. So it's basically like a mix-in, if I'm understanding how it works correctly. Gives us the ability to throw in some extra providers and bindings for our module without having to utilize the parent-child aspect of some of these modules, or even creating subcomponents, because we might actually create subcomponents in Dagger for some of this stuff. I am not entirely sure yet. That's something that we're going to have to figure out. But the other thing that I was playing around with is in the CRM component, I created a base plugin component builder. With the components, it automatically generates a builder for you, so that whenever you're in like the CRM plugin over here and you're instantiating the Dagger CRM component builder, based upon the base configuration, it tries to auto-generate a class, a little bit of code for the builder of that component. And then whenever you call build, it actually returns the instance. But if you wanted to inject additional information into the component, you have to create a component builder. And all this is basically annotating an interface with a component builder. And you do have to have a single method, at least a single no-arg method that can produce the component in question. I don't need this anymore. I shouldn't need it anymore. And I shouldn't need that one anymore because I put some of this stuff in the super class. So basically, I parameterized this with a C for the other component, and then B is going to be the builder that extends the base plugin component builder of CNB. That way, we would be able to bind an instance, and this is what I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, to the actual builder. And same with the other core components. That way I don't have to actually specify those on every single subclass. And then I have a generic build method. I'm just going to run the rebuild on the project and validate that the generated code will continue to work. And it looks like it did, even though I removed the additional methods in here. But if you notice over here, we still have core component and base URL path because of the fact that they were able to get those from the parent interface. And basically with the binds instance, we have the ability to bind a scoped object to the module or the component. So in this particular case, I created an annotation, and this is a qualifier for the base URL. I could have easily, rather than doing base URL, I could have done named base URL. And this is just qualifying the other parameter. And named is also a qualifier, as you can see. So this is more of a generic one if you want to use it. Otherwise, you can just create your own. And that's what I did here. So then in the, let's see if I remember where this is. In the common plugin module, we can see that I'm passing in the base URL using this qualifier, and then every single plugin that includes this would need to have that base URL. The nice thing is, if you create the builder in this particular fashion and you forget to set something, it'll have a invalid state exception. So let's go ahead and open up this guy. And let's just comment out the base URL path. And whenever I refresh and recompile, we will see the invalid state. Yeah, or illegal state exception. Sorry. So a legal state exception string must be set. So that basically just tells you that you need to have these as required injections into your component, which is really nice because then you can make sure that you have certain values at the creation of your component that can be used wherever you want. So all of this works. I still have the CRM and the notes. I did change a little bit because of the fact that we're wanting to do a history manager on a per plugin basis. I didn't want to clobber the one in the core, which is used in the shell. So what I did with that one, core module, I created a global qualifier, basically the same sort of thing as I mentioned before. We could have used named here, but I decided just to create a global. And that provides a global history manager. So then in the shell, I am able to inject the global history manager, which will have a different base URL with that one. As it would with any of the others. So that whenever I fire a particular state change, it'll be able to use that appropriately. So then whenever I hit notes, it has that prefix and then notes. And CRM does that. So that is pretty cool. And as you notice, I've also fixed the navigation here, or the flow. So now I don't have to worry about the headers scrolling away. So I made sure that in the CSS, this panel here, the main display, is sized 100% of the available area. And then I can just use like flex boxes, things like that to fill in the entire space. all of these seem to work in regards to pushing the additional context. The only issue that I need to figure out is being able to take a base URL and append an additional path. Because inside of the CRM, let me actually close everything out. So if I took a look at partner view impl, if I wanted to do this, for example, where I have this history object, which is going to be a different history manager, different instance than the one on the core and the application scope. Whenever I fire a state here to create, oh, that actually, hold on. Oh, that's because of the base URL part. So notice that now whenever I fire a state on create, because I'm inside of here, if I look at the CRM plugin, and we have this base URL path, it's able to basically append after that. So if I change this to that, for example, and I refresh, and whenever I hit the create button this time, it's going to use this as the base path. So we lost the CRM part. But of course we need to change some of the other bits of code to be able to reflect that, because right now I have that same base URL in two different places. I have it with the plugin registry, but I also have it in the history manager itself. So I'm trying to figure out how I can actually do this in a cleaner way. Because I could because what if, I mean, technically we don't need to inject this, so I can just remove that completely. We're not actually using these injections anymore. Oh, maybe I am. Technically we don't have to, because the core component provides the plugin registry. With controller. Oh, I guess I did need some of that. Okay, I take that back. Of course I could introduce a local variable, CRM component, then the CRM component. Yeah, I guess that is doing an inject there. So maybe I'll just keep that. It'll be a little bit easier. Let's click on this and revert that. And don't need that anymore, because we're not using the menu registry anymore. Eventually I'm going to have some other mechanisms for placing your views into the other appropriate place. There we go. Back to normal. So yeah, I need to figure out what to do with this plugin config. Because I'm thinking that we can probably... What if we were to define all of that in the module itself? So CRM module. So what if we were able to provide a plugin scope, plugin config. All right. So then in the CRM plugin, we can inject the plugin config. Okay. And I'm wondering, in terms of the supplier, because I'm using a provider, there is a difference between a provider and a lazy. There is a lazy interface as well, and they are basically very similar. So if I have that, it also has a get. The difference is that a lazy is basically a lazy instantiation. So it won't actually instantiate and do all of the injections until the first time you call get. However, with a provider or a provides, no, provider. Yeah, provider. This is the JavaX inject provider. The difference is every time you call get, it will create a brand new instance and inject that appropriately. So it really depends on what you're actually wanting to do with it. Are you wanting to retain the single instance every time you call get, or do you want a new instance every time you call get? So that is something to consider. So here we can actually, because of the fact that this is a provider, we can CRM front controller provider. So now we don't need this anymore. That's about it. So that seriously reduces this stuff. So then we would be able to do all of our plugin configurations in our module itself, which probably makes a little bit more sense. Eventually, we could probably create an annotation processor for this stuff, because it's going to be somewhat standard. So let's do CRM on that. I forgot to change that back. So yeah, we could probably create a annotation processor to generate all of this code. That wouldn't be too difficult, because most of the likely it's going to be similar in every single plugin. And then the whole configuration would just be in the Dagger module itself. So in that particular case, we could base URL oh, forgot the comma. It's like, why isn't that working? I mean, I know it's not actually the title, but that's what I used for the base URL. Okay, yeah. So let's go ahead and rebuild. I know that you can't see that. Let me move my face a little bit. So all I'm doing, I was able to figure out all of my build issues with all of the annotation processors, and I am able to run the build, but let me screenshot this. I'm doing the rebuild project. So I'm doing Command Shift M, at least those are the key bindings for me. And that will execute all of the annotation processors, which is very nice because it like forces the output. If you were just to run Maven compile or something like that, it's not going to trigger the annotation processors to execute unless the timestamp of the generated class has been updated, but it doesn't seem to handle incremental builds very well. I think there's actually a bug open for that, and that's mainly with the way Maven works. So let's go back to the browser, refresh, make sure that it's all still functional. And it looks like it is. Whenever I click on that, it's fine. Whenever I click on that, it looks like it's fine as well. Okay, that could work. And the nice thing, well, I guess that's not a nice thing. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how to abstract some of this stuff out, because most of the plugins are going to be very similar, and I don't really want a title, but that's something that I can refactor at a later time. That was basically our key, at least at the core level, to know which plugin to delegate to in regards to changing URL. If that title or the base URL were to change with the starts with, then we would delegate to a different plugin. And that would go through our entire plugin lifecycle of closing and stuff like that. So this one, firing the state, this history should be the sub history, and it is. So in that particular case, yeah, that's actually going to work. I was just trying to think of how I can do something else. So for example, if I change this import, let me add a click listener here, and this one's going to be history fire state token of import. This will clear out the create portion and put the import. Yeah. So notice that it said import, create, import, create. So then I don't have to do anything in regards to the preceding CRM. That's being handled appropriately. I think with that, I just hard coded it for now. If I look at the common plugin module, notice that I'm taking the core module history root path, just appending the base URL at the end of it. I haven't figured out any mechanism for grabbing the URL of the parent component. That one, I don't know if that's going to be possible. We might be able to look at it. I am not entirely sure if that would be possible. And some of this, I don't really need to be defining this in every single place. I should probably just take the history manager. And rather than injecting the state history, I could probably just instantiate it here. Of course, now we have the issue of not having this. So I wonder if I would be able to modify that on the way in. So what is the implementation that it generated for this? Yeah, here's the checking for it to not be null. And this is where it throws that illegal state exception. Yeah, because I would like to be able to pre-pin that. Might be kind of silly to have like a parent path. I mean, otherwise we would have to do that. Really wanted to do that on every single plugin. I mean, technically that is the path. I mean, there is the alternative. We could change this so that we have a front controller for our entire web app that just takes all of the URLs. And that was the only reason I used the pound symbol here, is because if I were to do this, I get the error not found. Of course, whenever you're pushing things onto the history stack, it's just fine up until you push the back button. And unless the server knows that it's routing to the same index.html, you're going to end up getting that 404, and especially with sharing the bookmarks. So that's the only reason I have the pre-pinned pound symbol here. I might just keep it. That way I don't have to... I'm trying to think. Maybe I'll just keep this. Yeah, that's fine. Let me just revert that. I don't know if that needs to be packet private or protected, or I don't know. All right, let's just erase all that. Let's see if I can have a private method here. Let me run the rebuild. Can't see that. Nope, that did have a problem. So it can't be private. Can it be protected? I'm just curious what the what it supports. Yeah, looks like it does support protected. Yeah, and this type error that you've been seeing, that's one of my extensions. I'm not entirely sure which extension is causing the problem, but it's not with the app. Yeah, see, that was the issue, because it was actually adding the URL in here as the text. Oh wait, that's right. I decided not to do that, so I don't need that anymore. See, and that comes up with the other, because I'm dual using this, I'm using this for a title as well. I should probably separate the title out with the base URL. Yeah, the problem is that in the shell, we're actually using the title. Navigation item, get history token. Oh yeah, that's right. Where is that happening? So I think it's in the plugin registry, impl. So what I'm going to do with base URL, I'm not sure who's here. All right, so here's the title, private string base URL. And let's create the getters and setters for the base URL. Not the setter though, right? How did I do that? And it was not set, it was with base URL, and it returns plugin config, return this, because I used a builder pattern. All right, back to the plugin register. And I do need to pull this out because it doesn't make sense to do all of this stuff inside of the plugin registry, but it was convenient at the time. There's that. Creating new navigation item. And that is a title. And I was using a title lowercase as the history token. I'm might as well just take the state token. Wait, haha. Forgot that I changed that. And then this. I'll just do that. I should probably not allow empty constructor. So this should be finalizable. And I can come down here, return that history token, and no more calling of that setter. I don't know if half of this is even necessary anymore. So then the base URL is going to be plugin config get base URL and token of that. That's fine. We can clean this stuff up later. Yeah, see, that's really nice because now I don't have to worry about um, clobbering this anytime that I'm wanting to do something different. So I can click on create without having to explicitly remove any of the query params. That's the problem that I was facing whenever I was looking at this off stream. So anytime, for example, I went into like an edit mode here, comes up with the edit screen, and I wanted to get back to this page, I wasn't able to do that easily without having to first remove whatever query params that I put there before. So that's going to work pretty well. Yeah, I keep clicking on these only to make sure that it's changing the URL. I haven't actually added these to any kind of route. And all of this still works. So if I were to shrink that up, this is all scrollable. This is just a CSS issue. I didn't put any gap in between here. I can do that real quick. This is a partner view impl. Let me close the rest of these tabs. Close those. All right. Top to bottom. Set gap. 10 pixels. And if I were to refresh this time, we should see a 10 pixel gap. And of course I can add like the horizontal rule or whatever I want there, just to make it a little bit cleaner. But I really like this auto grid. All without the media queries. I'm not sure if I like the scroll bar being indented, but all of this has a margin around the entire content area. I could probably change that, but then it would require every single view to have to deal with its own margins in a somewhat uniform fashion. Oh, that's broken now. What is broken with that? Oh, it's because it's undefined. That is right. So I haven't updated the notes plugin yet. So let's make similar changes that we did with this. So here, notes module. We are going to provide plugin scope, plugin config, and this has to be static. And we're going to have the base URL, and order doesn't matter, but I should also throw in the provider. Notes front controller. Oh, that is the wrong import. JavaX inject. There we go. All right, so now we should be able to return dagger notes component. No. This is a plugin config. Plugin config. Create. I guess I don't have a build with this one. So with title, notes, with base URL, with controller, controller provider. That's it. So now we can get rid of that and put plugin config, because we are going to change this injection to a plugin config, That should, rebuild. Got to rebuild to make sure that all of that code generation occurs. Oops. Cannot be provided without a provides annotation base URL. Oh, is that because my notes component, we didn't create a builder for this. That's right. So let's go ahead and create a builder for that. So this is a component builder, interface builder. And this is going to extend the base plugin component builder, and that is going to return a notes component, and our builder is a builder. Yes, that's going to fail because I don't have anything under base. I just wanted it to generate the class. There we go. Base URL path. Notes. Cool. So that should fix all of that. And again, this whole thing can probably be generated with an annotation processor. There we go. Let's just make sure that we can get to the notes plugin. Notes, and then back to the CRM. Cool. Works out pretty well. All right, so now, oh, that's kind of interesting. That is not what I was thinking it was. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if you saw that. Whenever I go here, the slash is in between the pound and the CRM. But whenever I click on create, it's putting the pound with the CRM. So I need to figure out why that's happening. Oh, I know why. Because it automatically throws, I'm just concatenating those two together. But the core, I'm using the pound symbol. See, and that's why I wish I could grab the parent. So what I want to do is in my common plugin module, let's just throw a slash in there. It's not ideal, but that will fix this particular issue. So whenever I click on that, okay. So now they all have the same base URL. Okay, that works for me. So now it's a matter of routing this stuff. So right now I'm only routing to the partner view. So let's open up the front controller. And this one I modified a little bit. In the parent class, I moved the active stuff in here, and I changed some of these to be final methods. For the start, sets the active to true. This one, if this throws an exception, it'll never actually get to set active true. However, on the close, I surrounded this one with a try finally. So even if the on close were to throw an exception, it'll still be able to set it to inactive. That way, in the code, in the plugin registry, which is still a bad place for this. Hello, I'm trying to go into the subclass. There we go. I'm able to check active state. What is the active state? Oh, that's not what I was thinking it was. I guess it was in one of these controllers. Was it the CRM front controller? Yeah, so whenever we're handling a URL, I wanted to make sure that if we're not active, we can just return. Otherwise, we'll be able to do some sort of URL change here right now. So let's figure out what we're going to do. And this is all going to be, the state is going to be after the base URL part. So if I get the tokens, I don't know if it's normalized token or just token. So let's log that out. So on any URL change, we'll be able to see that in the other console. CRM history change. So right before that, I'm not sure which one it is. Fragments. So let's just put fragments. Of course, this is going to put the object directly onto the other console, which allows us to navigate it. It's not calling the other toString on it. Click on import. There we go, fragments. Size 0. Yeah, I need to look at that. Review the domino history stuff. Because I'm not entirely sure what are the fragments versus something else. Return true if the part after the pound contains the fragment. I'm not entirely sure. There's not a lot of documentation here, is there? Looks like it's just the readme. Yeah, I'm gonna have to spend some time with this. Looks like I might be able to at least get the other path. Paths. So this would probably return the collection of the different parts, but I'm just curious if it contains the base URL part, or is that removed? Create CRM. Okay, so it is a linked list, and it does have both of those items in there. So that's why the size is 2, and that's because of the fact that it contains both of those bits on the other path. Yeah, it kind of stinks, but what can you do? So if I were just to return the path, I would probably just return everything after the pound, probably. Yeah, CRM import. That's kind of weird. Oh wait, that's not even the other right spot. Oh. Apparently it wasn't scrolling. I was like, where is the changes? Okay. Because I kept clicking on it and it wasn't changing the log. Didn't realize that it was stuck, not scrolling. Because every single one of these should have fired the history change event. And I guess that makes sense because technically the state that we're receiving here is based upon the core module and not the sub module. We might have to change that. But right now we're only listening on the core module history. Yeah, right here we're listening. And we don't want to listen for the other title. We want plugin config base URL. And we don't need that 2 lowercase. Are we using the title anywhere? Yeah, we are a couple of places. Because yeah, it would be nice if we had the state from the plugin instead. I'm not entirely sure how we can accomplish that without registering the URLs. We might be able to do that. So this is handle URL. Is this a normalized token? I mean, that's different than the other state. This is... One moment, please. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Had a small interruption. So I was looking at the current token because this history is going to be the CRM front controller. I might be able to inject. I might be able to do this. Because all I need is the handle URL to basically be called. So what if I were to, inside of the plugin front controller, handle URL. So what if we were to change this one to be public void handle URL change, and then I wonder, can I be injected in the superclass? Is that going to work for me? I'm curious. Of course, we need to modify the subclass. Maybe I'll keep this as the same method. Abstract, and then this one I can do the history.get current token. I wonder if the state history token and the state are subclasses of each other. Doesn't look like it. So that implements history token. So they are apparently different things. I'm just going to change this. And then here, not passing the state anymore. Handle URL change. Handle URL. Handle URL. What's the problem here? Or meant final. So what's the problem? Oh, it was on the other controller. I was like, what is the problem here? State history token. Now are we fine? What's the problem? Oh, it's because I didn't make it protected. It's package private. That could help. All right, let's recompile this. And that is having problems. All right, cannot be provided, blah, blah, blah. Missing annotation. Notes component. Missing binding history manager. Cannot be, oh. Is it because I didn't include it? Correct. Includes common plugin module. Forgot the mix-in. I guess I haven't recompiled it in a while since I did that one like 30 minutes ago. There we go. All right. That still works. And looking at the path, it's now create, import. So now it's actually able to pull off the appropriate prefix. So we don't have to worry about the CRM or anything in it. So it's basically going to be everything after our base URL, which is very nice because now we can, inside of our CRM front controller, if I wanted to take a look at the path, don't need that anymore. Token paths. We need to figure out how we're going to change the views here because we need to make sure that we're not leaving a state. So we should think about some state management. Because if the path is empty, we obviously want to set the partner view. However, we don't want to set the partner view if it's already set, right? So if paths get 1, or I can switch. So if the first one's create, main display, set element, label create, display, or create something. Break, case, import. And again, some of this stuff could be done through annotation processors. can get rid of that. I can get rid of that. We can figure out this stuff later. Of course, now it's just going to throw in some labels based upon what we have in the other URL. There we go. So the big issue is whenever I'm starting, we're just assuming that we're always going to throw in the other partner view, where we probably need to handle the current URL as well. So we might actually not do this. So then the one usage up here. We can just handle the URL change. So even when we're starting, we will handle the URL change. So start will execute return. So any kind of pre-stuff may not even pass in the main display like this because it's kind of weird. This will at least change this to create from the get-go. Yeah, here we go. And if I were to do import here, we can import something. And if we were to change the URL to that, changes to this. So that all works. And then I can hit the back button and it handles the history. I like it. I mean, we'll have to figure out something different for the start. I was just mimicking some of the old GWT activities where you pass in the accepts one widget in the activity start. But I'm curious with Android activity. What is the API for that? See, these are all just on start, on restart, on resume. So these are all the lifecycle methods. But it did have a set content view. Almost all the activities interact with the user, so the activity class takes care of creating a window for you in which you can place your UI with a set content view. While activities are often presented to the user as a full screen windows, they can also be used in other ways, such as floating windows. Two methods on create, passing in a bundle where you initialize your activity. Most importantly here, you will usually call set content view. Okay, so I guess the bundle has a set content view on it. Obviously, we're not writing an Android application here, but I'm just curious about the APIs used in other places. Set content. Oh, it does not exist in here. I am not sure what it's telling you to set content view on. I went too far. Set content view. Wait, is this on the activity itself? Are we still on activity? This is a big class. Yeah, okay, so set content view is apparently a method on activity. We might look at that. I am not sure. This is a little bit overkill for what we're needing, though. But it might be kind of interesting because we also need to have all of the life cycle stuff because right now we're handling the can close and stuff like that at the front controller. So this will need to be able to delegate to whatever is currently open and ask, hey, can you close? And if so, we can close it. Otherwise, we may want to cancel that and prevent it from closing. So I can actually try this. I don't know if I've implemented that or not. So let me go to the main URL. Let me go to notes, then CRM, and CRM is returning can close to false. So I can get there. I can get there, but if I try to go back, it just stays here. So that's cool. So that actually works. Of course, we need to have some sort of, oh, it still changes the URL though. Might have to cancel that. Pop off the stack. Can I do that? Yeah, because whenever it's yeah, that's not gonna work very well. Because whenever I click on this, it's not firing another URL change event. So there's no way without popping this off the history stack. Oh boy. Again, I probably need to do a little bit more investigation on the domino history stuff to figure out how all of this stuff works. But if I were to come over here, we ask it if it can close, we return, but yeah, we don't have the previous query though. Can I go back? Or wait, this is the history manager. I might have more access if I take a look at the history manager. These are just the delegated methods that I did. So history dot, there is a back. There's a pop? No. Is inform on pop state. Like to enable disable listening to pop state events in which we have multiple instances of the history in the same application. So what would happen if I did this before returning a history back? Oh, I didn't add that to the interface. Just curious. Because I want it to stay. I don't want it to fire the event, so to speak. So let's clear that. It looks like it went to notes and then went to CRM, maybe twice. Don't know if that's I'm not sure, entirely sure what that's doing though. But I mean, we did stay here. am curious if I were to click on this to put some extra junk here, and then I click on notes. Yeah, it does come back. So, I mean, the back does work. As long as we're not removing anything from the other view, and we retain access. So that's actually going to work for us. Ooh, it does some weird things though. Yeah, it's doing some weird stuff because it's keeps hitting it keeps doing back whenever I'm trying to go forward. And that is because I'm just blindly doing a returning false. Okay, so let's go ahead and change that back to true for now. We will need to figure out how we're going to handle that, maybe a pop-up or something, but we will need to delegate to the nested activity, whatever that may be, to ask it whether or not we can close. So right now it's just delegating down to the single front controller of the plugin, but the plugin itself needs to figure out whether or not we can close or navigate away. So I do need to call it quits, unfortunately. I have some people at my house that I need to deal with, and I'm going to be on vacation next week, so unless Colin were to stream, I may not be back until either next Friday or the following Monday. So have a great week, and we will see you then. Goodbye.